Hey guys, in this episode, myself and my good friend Jess, a music festival content creator otherwise known by @living by the F word, are going to be breaking down the different categories of music festivals that you can attend. We're going to give examples and characteristics of each event, pros and cons, and share some experiences we've had at each of these different types of festivals. We hope this episode is really helpful for anyone looking to learn more about electronic music events. So with all that being said, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Rave Culture Cast, your weekly guide to the dance music community, music festivals, and more. My name is Emma Capotis. Welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time tuning in. I'm so excited you're here. I really just want to jump into things today, you guys, because we have a lot of ground to cover. I really wanted to do an episode that was very, I guess you could say, informational or educational for anyone out there looking to learn a little bit more about the different types of music festivals and electronic music events that you can attend around the world. I myself have not done too many. I've only done like big city festivals and some music and arts festivals, but Jess has attended so many. She's traveled really well, and she actually did a video on her own YouTube channel about this subject. So I figured she would be the perfect person to come on and tackle this subject with me. So I'm really excited to get into things. Before we do that, one quick note about last week's episode. The giveaway winner has been contacted and selected, so definitely check your email or your social media handles to see if I reached out to you. Again, thank you to everybody who entered that. I will be doing more giveaways in the future, and again, stay tuned very soon on some merch announcements. Also, this is the last call for submissions on this topic, so I basically want to do a full episode talking about my thoughts on events, live events coming back, and I want to hear your thoughts as well. So please email me, raveculturecast@gmail.com, with your thoughts on live events coming back and music festivals reopening. I really just want to hear your thoughts and opinions on the whole thing, like what your comfort level is. Would you attend events right now? Like, what safety measures would you be comfortable with? Like, let me know the whole deal. So again, email raveculturecast@gmail.com. All right, with all that being said, you guys, you know the deal. If you are enjoying this podcast, I would love it if you would rate, review, and subscribe over on the YouTube channel. And of course, we have an incredible Facebook group community. It is the best. I love seeing your posts in there and seeing everybody chatting. So if you want to meet some people in the dance music community and talk about episodes and all kinds of fun stuff, definitely check out the Rave Culture Cast community group on Facebook. Alrighty, with all that being said, you guys, I really just want to jump right into things. Again, go show Jess some love and support. She has an incredible YouTube channel where she covers videos and topics like this. Again, she has been raving and attending events for so many years. She's had media at a lot of these events. So if you want her thoughts and opinions on things, check out her channel and feel free to DM her again @living by the F word. She's more than happy to answer questions on all of these events. So with all that being said, you guys, please join me in welcoming Jess to the podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. She's on again. She was already on the podcast. You might recognize her from the Burning Man episode, but I have my good friend Jess @living by the F word on today. Jess, say hello. What's up?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Rave Culture Cast community. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, girl. Welcome back. It's been a minute.
It has been. That episode was recorded quite some time ago, and it's just so great to see how the podcast and community has grown since then. And first time on video though for the podcast. So
yes, I was gonna say that was back when I was literally recording over the Anchor app on my phone. It was just phone calls, no video, but It was a really valuable episode, you guys. If you're interested in Burning Man, definitely go listen to that so you can catch more of Jess. Before we jump into everything that we're going to talk about today, can you do a quick little introduction to yourself and where people can find all of your content?
Of course. Yeah. So my name is Jess. I am from New Jersey. My blog and YouTube channel is livingbythefword.com. Well, living by the F word or livingbythefword.com. I love F words. So festivals are one of my favorite F words. I also am a flight attendant. So of course, flying means a lot to me. It's also part of the reason why I became a flight attendant, so I could travel to more festivals. I love fine art. I was an art major in college and I like creating my own festival of fashion. So I talk about a lot of F words that I'm passionate about. And yeah, you could check out my blog or my YouTube channel. And I'm at Living by the F Word on social media.
Awesome. Yeah, Jess has a lot of incredible videos. She's great with a lot of the educational content as well. And so basically just to do a quick intro to like why I wanted to do this episode today, it was a couple of reasons. One was just because in this past year of not having events, I found myself educating myself way more on all the events I haven't done and like all the places I haven't traveled. You know what I mean? Not a hobby I recommend because it makes you feel bad, but like it's just amazing to see how many different types of electronic music events there are around the world. And for somebody listening, whether you're a beginner or you're like me and you really haven't ventured out that much into exploring different types, today, we want this to be like an extremely helpful guide. So we're going to break down the different types of music festivals that there are globally. And Jess has traveled way more than me. Like she said, she's had a lot of experience at a couple of the events we're going to talk about. And she just did a video basically on this exact topic. So I'm going to link that in the show notes so you can go check that out. But I figured I can only speak from experience on a couple of these types, and Jess has way more experience. So this will be a good conversation we're going to have back and forth. But anything you want to say about that video and why you wanted to put that together?
Yeah, I've been noticing, obviously, since we've all been quarantined, that people are interested and are just, really like wanting to go to festivals again, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And people are kind of suggesting festivals that some people haven't heard about. And, I just kind of wanted to educate people on different types of festivals because some festivals really aren't for certain personality types. It's really important to know who you are as a person and where you're at in your life and to know about the actual festivals and the value they could bring you as an attendee. So that's why I put that video together, just so people can kind of understand the differences and the pros and the cons of, being at a city fest or traveling to another fest that's camping. Some people prefer to not camp. Some people love hotels. Some people love camping. I personally love camping music festivals. That's my favorite thing to do, to be fully immersed in experience. But everyone's different. So I just kind of wanted to put that video out so that people could understand the differences of all different types of festivals.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's a good point, and we'll talk about that today. Like, I just feel like there's different, like you said, different personality types, but also some things just it's preference. It comes down to personal preference.
Yep.
And I've said this on my channel before. Like, if you guys have watched me for a while, you know what types of genres I like to listen to. I appreciate all of them, but if you are a massive like hard dance lover and you come to my channel, you're not going to hear me recommending hard dance events. That doesn't mean that they're not absolutely fucking amazing. It's just I don't listen to that music, so I'm not your girl to come to for a recommendation. But it's good to just have an appreciation and understanding of all of the options that are out there for you to try, and then you can experiment and do them. And I want to get on that as well. So I figured I have a whole list here. We're going to go through this. I'm going to start with city festivals because I feel like those are very, very common. And a lot of people, I would say, probably have done a music festival in a big city. So I wrote, this is pretty obvious what classifies it as a city festival. It's obviously an event that takes place either within or right next to like a major city. So Jess, feel free to add onto this list. I put like the big ones are Ultra Miami, Electric Zoo in New York.
Right. Yeah. Austin City.
Ball. Yep.
Yeah. Austin City Limits. Basically, anywhere where there's no camping on site, you might see the skyline of the city in the background, or there's basically no lodging on site. So I would consider that a city fest because you are staying somewhere within that region, usually within the city or somewhere near there in a hotel, Airbnb, or something like that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then I put like Movement Detroit is a big one.
Yeah.
Spring Awakening.
Yep.
All of these. Life is Beautiful, Crossed. I put Voodoo Festival, which is in New Orleans. Yeah. So pros and cons. That's what we're going to do. We're going to break these down. We're going to do pros and cons. We're going to talk about who these festivals might be a good fit for. And then I think it's good just to share our experiences at these types of events as well. Because I maybe we'll start there. I will say the most events I have attended are city festivals. Have not done a camping festival yet. And that's not that I haven't, well, let me rephrase that. I've done events that camping has been offered. I just didn't camp. So I have not camped at an event yet. Jess and I are both in New Jersey. So we live near New York City. So a lot of events I've gone to are in New York City, or I've done EDC Las Vegas or Ultra, Imagine Music Festival. So I feel like I have most often gone to city festivals. I love them. They're a great time. Again, there's pros and cons to everything. How many do you think you've attended city-wise?
Ooh. Well, same as you. Some festivals that do offer camping, I've stayed in a hotel, but Ultra is one that I've done quite a lot with WMC and Miami Music Week. And yes, basically, I just drew.
Have you done Austin City Limits?
I just drew a blank. I'm so sorry.
No,
I have not done Austin City Limits. I prefer camping festivals, so I guess I feel like I'm drawing a blank. Movement is a good example to do, and Ultra. So I'll just go with those because like those right off the top of my head, those are city festivals that I've done. What's great about them is you obviously get to go home and shower. You have a bed to sleep in. You know are cleaner, I guess you could say. Like it just, you're more comfortable. Yep. Also, you get to check out another city that maybe you're not from. So for me, Detroit with Movement, you're going to all these after parties, you're going to these after hours events, and you're checking out different club locations and things in that city that you're not used to. Or if you're at home, like for us with Electric Zoo, something like that, there's so many after parties in your own city. And I mean, for me, New York, it's like the city I grew up around, but it's massive. There's so many clubs, there's so many things New York has to offer. So it's always kind of fun to be able to head out somewhere and just, go home when you need to type of thing.
Totally agree with you. So this is why I'm glad I have you here, because I totally forgot about after parties. That's another pro. We're adding that to the list. Yeah. I wrote down same as you, a ton of accommodation options, which is always great. I mean, super easy to get to. Obviously discounting traffic of any kind. Like there's always going to be traffic with a large scale event, but usually there's multiple forms of transportation to get in, whether it's like trains, bus, ferries, like whatever it might be. Like you said, with the skyline, usually really cool views. Like there is something beautiful to say about like destination festivals, which we're going to get into, but I always loved the view like in Ultra. I thought that was so pretty with the skyline there. In New York City, it's beautiful. So I do think like city locations offer a different kind of atmosphere, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and with Movement, it's right on the river. You could see Canada across the river, but you also see downtown. So you see the buildings. It's in Hart Plaza. So they have these really large industrial looking sculptures. And so I do think that the City Fest bring and offer people a valuable experience.
Yeah, I agree. And what you touched on this a little bit. I also wrote obviously a lot of other activities and fun things to do around the event. So yeah, after parties is one, but just in general, like I know for people coming into Electric Zoo, if you've never been to New York, that's such a great experience. Like to experience in New York City. I also had EDC Orlando down as a city festival. That was considered, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did Vegas too. I know Vegas is in its own world, but like it's the Strip. You're in Vegas. It's a city festival.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would consider EDC a city festival just because even though it's at the racetrack or the speedway, you still you're going back to the Strip. Usually most people, I would assume, I actually have never done EDC Las Vegas, but I would assume most people are staying on the Strip there. So yeah,
that would be a big one. Okay. Yeah. Cause I was going to say like that, I'm going to be camping this time whenever it happens. Woo! Yeah. I'm so excited, but I would just say like in general, one of my favorite things is Vegas and just doing all the restaurants and activities and like all that fun stuff. So I think there's so many different pros when it comes to city festivals, a lot of different options. And they come in different sizes too. Like obviously EDC is massive, but I would even say, I'm trying to think, I don't know about the size of Governor's Ball or ACL, but like some of them aren't as big as like an Ultra or EDC, I wouldn't think.
I even think EZoo is kind of on the smaller side. I only attended one day. Even though that's a local fest to me, I've only been once in 2015 for one day.
Wow. Oh my God. That's crazy. Yeah, but you've been to a lot of other places, which we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
She's been busy. Okay. Cons. I wrote, so like obviously with travel, like you can deal with a lot of traffic. Like I even remember EDC Orlando this past in 2019, we sat in like I think it was like 45 minutes to an hour in traffic. Same with EDC, same with New York. Like I'm from New Jersey and it still took me like 2 hours to get to Electric Zoo. And I took 3 modes of transportation. It was like ridiculous.
Right.
Yep.
I think actually I just thought Crossed I've been to. That's a city fest in San Diego. So for con, I guess why I prefer camping fests is because you could just go back to your campsite or you could do after hours right on site. You don't have to worry about looking at your phone, trying to do an Uber, trying to coordinate your group of friends, trying to get to wherever the after hours is. I just think it's easier. So I would say a con for City Fest is the leaving of the festival and getting somewhere else.
Yep, I agree with you. I also wrote, usually don't have accommodations on site. So it's a little bit more of an inconvenience. I also wrote sometimes it completely depends though, I think on the festival. Sometimes they can skew a little bit more on like the party side. And that could just be because it's in the middle of a city. So sometimes you might attract, I'm going to use this term, hopefully it doesn't offend anybody, less of a plur crowd. Because I feel like with some of the events we're going to talk about, like transformational events or camping festivals, I feel like the atmosphere is just a little bit different than a city festival. Like you might attract more people who are not regular like dance music fans and are just coming to party for a weekend. I feel like that can happen a lot of the times with city fests.
I could agree with that just because, especially if you're local to that city, it's easier to attend. And if you're not really into festivals as much as we are, the people listening are, sometimes, you will get that type of person at those city fests, I guess you could say. Yeah. Because they're not really dedicated to the music and the community like we are so much to go and travel to an event. Sometimes, like obviously I travel to city fests and we all do around the country. But sometimes you'll get some local people that really don't care about even simple things like cleaning up trash, stuff like that. They'll throw trash on the ground. I do find that based off experience, I do think some city fests you'll see a lot more like water bottles and wrappers on the ground and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. I will literally never forget Governor's Ball. I was like, and Governor's Ball tends to skew younger too, because it's all ages, but I'll never forget. I was like walking by these 2 girls, looked very young, and she just eats something and just literally throws her trash on the ground. I'm like, there is literally a garbage can 2 feet away from you. It was maddening. It was middle of the day. I was like, who taught, like, where did you grow up? I don't understand.
Oh no, I call him out. Someone at Crossed, like some guy just threw his bottle and he was literally like 2 feet from a trash can. I'm like, don't worry, bro. I got it for you.
Oh my God.
I cannot. Stuff like that is so upsetting. But for the most part, city fests are still amazing. So
100%.
It's
I love them.
I love them too.
Hard. Yep. Yeah. I mean, they're the most of the ones I've done are city festivals. Yeah. So you can't knock them.
They still are so beautiful and unique.
100%. I also wrote too, sometimes it can skew on the side of like more crime. Now, like that is obviously not a statistic, but I do know EDC Orlando has a lot of issues with crime. Vegas, New York. I mean, any big city, right? I think you can just equate that. So that can definitely be an issue. And obviously we just say to be careful and watch your stuff and be smart and be aware of your surroundings at big city festivals. Who would you say this is a good fit for? Who should go to a city fest?
Well, maybe if you're just starting to get into festivals, I mean, I don't necessarily know if that's the right advice actually. I think that maybe if you're looking to travel and you don't really feel comfortable leaving the country yet, I think it'd be manageable to go to one of these city fests that, United States, we're both from United States. So I know there's other listeners that are not from here, but, to travel to a city festival, because then you could kind of like dip your toes in getting to know festival grounds and not have to worry about the campgrounds as well. Because at a lot of these camping music festivals, the grounds are massive and sometimes people get lost and they can't find their campsite and stuff like that. So I think that maybe if you just were interested in seeing what festivals have to offer, a city fest might be a good fit for you. Or if you just know you're not the camping type. You may be older and you may think like, I cannot handle camping. I cannot handle waking up sweaty and I need my hotel and I want to get ready, depending on the type of person you truly are. I mean, everyone knows themselves the best. If you don't think that you could handle being in a tent, then you might want to do a city festival.
Yep. I agree with you. I think like, yeah, I mean, even for beginners, like I think any of these are good first options. But yeah, if you're local and you're curious about music festivals and like if you live in the New York City area or you live near Orlando and like that event is coming up, like I think dip your toes in and try a city festival. Like it's a good entryway into them and there's so many different options. And we didn't even talk about like international, but I'm pretty sure like I just did the video on Exit. That one's in Serbia. And I think Awakenings is like right outside Amsterdam as well.
Yep.
I just didn't know if Awakenings was camping. I wasn't sure. I didn't think it was, right? So that's technically a city festival too. But yeah, I'm right. I know I have friends who have never been to New York and they say like, I just really want to go visit New York City and then I want to do Electric Zoo while I'm there. And I think that's like definitely like, if you can combine the two, 100%.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Same thing like you said for EDC. Like you could see some, stuff in Vegas or anytime you go to a city festival, there's still value there because you're seeing another city.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you. All right. We're going to move on to Jess's favorite category. We're going to talk about camping festivals, which I one day will experience. I thought it was going to be Electric Forest. Well, like to be determined. We'll see if that's going to happen, but I'm pretty like 99% sure I'm going to do Elements Lakewood, which is in September, which is a camping festival. So, I mean, what classifies this is they have campgrounds on site. They have different levels of camping we can chat about as well, but you do have the option to stay on site in the campgrounds. Anything else you would say about that would classify it, or that makes sense, right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it.
That's
basically
clear.
There's different levels of lodging. So, you could just have regular GA camping. Some festivals have walk-in camping only where you can't camp next to your car. There's other camping festivals such as Electric Forest where it's car camping, which is really the most convenient because then you could obviously bring more things with you and have a bigger, better campsite. The walk-in camping festivals can be a little more difficult because you are lugging all of your gear in. And so you might not be able to bring as much, like a pop-up canopy for shade and things like that. So there are definitely some struggles with camping festivals. If you're going to a walk-in one, Envision and Tomorrowland, those are walk-in camping. So that might be a little harder if you're actually bringing a tent, but car camping is so convenient. You're camped right next to your car. You have your car. You could lock things in as well. So you don't really have to worry about valuables in your tent. I personally have not, knock on wood, I personally have had some good experiences. I've really never dealt with that much theft when I've camped at festivals, but it definitely is there. So you definitely have to, be cautious.
Be careful. Yeah. Well, I'm going to skip because while we're chatting about the different types. Yeah. So you mentioned GA, walk-in. There's also obviously VIP. It depends on the festival, but there's VIP, there's glamping, there's cabins, there's apartments. Like there's all different types of options, which I personally love because it depends on the person. Like you said, if you are flying in and you want stuff set up and ready to go, then the glamping options are a perfect thing because that usually means they'll give you a tent and bedding. Or if you can drive in or you want to drive an 8-hour trip to Electric Forest or something like that, you can bring all your camping gear with you and just do GA. So I really like that there are so many different options for you, especially Electric Forest. I know has so many. Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Other examples here. We have Mysteryland, Shambhala, Okeechobee, Base Canyon, Nocturnal Wonderland, Lost Lands, Coachella, Bonnaroo, Camp Bisco, Elements, Ever After, Imagine, Firefly, Wakan. I'm pretty sure Wakan is a camping festival.
I think so too.
Just to name a few.
Yeah.
All amazing.
And depending on, sometimes VIP camping, you still bring your tent and you still car camp. So for instance, Electric Forest, their VIP is called Good Life, which I also like because it's, VIP doesn't mean you're better than anyone. GA is just as important. You know what I mean? But you could camp still next to your car and bring your own tent and stuff like that. But your amenities are essentially better. So just that festival, for instance, there's 3 entrances and 2 into the forest. You know what I mean? Like you could kind of skip the big GA line and there's bathrooms and showers, air conditioned, bathrooms, things like that, flushable toilets. So
Yep.
your own private VIP party, silent disco afterwards. So there's just
So dope.
some amenities you get, even if you are still camping in a VIP area, or, there's cabins and apartments or glamping, like you said, where they set the tent up for you and you basically just have to fly in and bring some food and drinks, and it might be a little easier for you.
Yep. I think like the cool thing about that too is it's like it's up to your budget. So if you've been raving or doing events for 10 plus years and you're like, okay, I want a little bit more comfort, or I don't know, I think the creativity too. I mean, obviously Tomorrowland is an amazing example. They're like superior level, but it's just really cool. Even in Vision, we're going to get into like, it's just really cool to see the different options they offer. Like you can have different like teepees, like huge different campsites that they put beds inside of. Like it really, really is cool to see the options that they provide for people. And I think we can get into pros and cons too. I also think it's really interesting with camping festivals that they're offering more and more to the campers. So it's not just like, oh, you get a tent and you have easier access. It's like, oh, we have wellness programs. We have yoga in the morning. You can make smoothies. Like they're actually making it a really cool experience for people to do tons of different things in the off hours when live music isn't happening. But talk about your pros. What are other ones you have?
Oh, I just love being able to sleep when I want, party when I want, that type of thing. The after hours usually go until the sunrise. I really am like a sunrise criminal. I love after hours and watching the sunrise. And I just think at camping music festivals, you don't have to worry about driving. You don't have to worry about someone else, if you've been drinking or partying and someone else driving you, even if it's an Uber, getting into a car, things like that I had kind of mentioned before. So I think the pros of camping on site is being fully immersed and also being able to attend things that you said, just like the extracurriculars that they provide, like wellness and panels and things like that. Depending on the festival, you are just there. You don't have to worry about leaving or any of that. You are just there for those 3, 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, however long it is.
Yep.
And it's kind of carefree, and I personally feel more relaxed.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wrote immersive experience. I think that's a big, like, talking from a perspective of somebody who hasn't camped before. I will say like what I don't know. I really do not have an answer as to why I haven't camped. I can just say for EDC, for example, I truly just loved the strip and like I just love Vegas, and I was like, I want to be near EDC week and all the nightclubs and the restaurants, and like for me the shower and like having a break from the festival at the time was what I was looking for. However, the transportation is just never a good time, and so that's why I bought camping. I was like, one, they've proven that the camping experience looks amazing. They've built this whole cool thing with the mesa and then the pool parties and after parties. Like Jess said, like everything's involved in one. But for me, the selling point was the convenience. Like I wasn't able to stay, not wasn't able to. Our group never made it till the last set, the last 2 years of EDC, because we were always rushing to get an Uber. So it wasn't a nightmare, or we were rushing to get a shuttle. And with Camp EDC, you can go in and out. So I wrote convenience is number one. Convenience. You can go in and out. Your stuff's all there. Again, it's the safety of it. You're not leaving. You're not dealing with any transportation, and it's more immersive. Like you don't have that mental break because you don't go home and come back. You are there the whole weekend, which I really, really like the idea of that. So I think I'm going to report back obviously when it happens, but the convenience of that, I'm like, I'm staying till the last set because I don't have to take an hour Uber home or wait in the Uber tent for 45 minutes. Like I can just walk back to my tent. So that alone is just going to give me so much peace of mind. I cannot wait. Any really good camping experiences that stand out to you?
I think, well, my first camping music festival ever was Tomorrowland, which thinking back to it was kind of insane because I didn't really know what I was getting into. And I had this like little tiny tent, but that was interesting because it's such a global experience there. I was camping next to some people that didn't even speak English. So it was like, I wish I had known another language type of thing, but it was like still everyone was so united through the music. So at the pre-party there that they do a really big pre-party on the campground in Dreamville, it was just, that was really fun. Electric Forest is one of my all-time favorite festivals. I mean, I've gone 6 times, I think. I've been going for years, and it's just so much fun, and it's grown. It's really interesting, actually, if you look at the site map from like the year I started in 2014 to now, how much it has expanded.
Yep.
It's just getting bigger and bigger, and there's just more people that you meet. I feel like you meet a lot of people when you're camping at Electric Forest. At least I have.
Yep.
So Envision is great because it's small. You can get around the campsite fairly easy, and it doesn't take that long.
Nice.
So, all these camping fests, it kind of just depends. There's smaller ones that I think are more manageable and you could see more. And kind of the mega ones, you really kind of have to plan your time out, but you're still there and still fully, immersed in it all. Like you said, like that's like my favorite part. You're right. Convenience. Totally.
Yeah. And I wrote down great way to meet people as well. I think that's the thing that attracts me too. I'm just like, I can't wait to just meet more people. And same thing with Electric Forest. We're going to do a group camp with a huge group of people, but like just to walk around and people sharing things. And like, if you forget something and somebody else has it, like, and just being able to hang out there all day and just to have like a more chilled, laid back, like you can drink a little, like whatever. I think that whole atmosphere will be something really, really cool to enjoy. And I also wrote down, I forgot about Creamfields. That's another big one in the UK. That's a camping fest, but
I don't know if I could ever.
Yeah, I was going to say, there are some experiences though that I'm like, because even Imagine Music Festival has camping, but you have to go off of your gut. Like if you're local and you've done it and you're like, I loved it, great. But there were a lot of comments on Reddit saying like the Atlanta heat and you're in a parking lot, like camping is not for me. So in those cases, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a hotel.
Even Coachella, I've done Coachella 3 times, but I did hotel for Coachella and I'm happy because I've seen some videos of canopies flying off because the wind is so high there sometimes in the desert. And sometimes like we're talking about, there really are pros and cons depending on the location of the festival if you're camping.
Totally. Yep. Any other cons? Let me see if other cons. Oh yeah. Other cons I wrote, obviously, again, it's up to personal preference. If you like a bed and a shower and things like that, like not that there aren't showers, but if you want that level of comfort, then a hotel might be better for you. I also wrote it can be noisy. I mean, you can attest to that more or less. I think there are, like, I know Lost Lands offers like a quiet campgrounds where you have to be more respectful. But that's the other thing. Like if you want to get a good night's sleep, would you say it's probably difficult?
I mean, if you're in GA, and you have no say on where you end up. It depends on what time you arrive. If you and your group drive in and they kind of just shuttle you in and then that's where you are. So if you, I keep referencing Electric Forest, but it's like, just like, I guess at the top of my mind, but basically, if you're camping next to the RVs, that's where a lot of the after parties are. And you'd be surprised, like the after parties there are massive, like the whole, half the festivals there, like it's huge. And so, it could be really potentially hard to sleep depending on where you are, or you could arrive really late and be a 20-minute walk from just the gate. And then you have to, if you're trying to catch a set and walk another 20 minutes inside the venue, you really have to like kind of time manage a little bit. If you're trying to make something and you like, that would be a con, is you don't really have a say over where you're camping. You just end up there and that's it.
Fair. I think we presented a good argument. I think those are fair points for everyone. That's the important thing I think we're trying to say here is like no option is better than the other. Like it's completely down to personal preference. And I think it is good to try different options. So I'm excited to like finally report back to you guys when I have the experience.
And when EDC announced camping, that actually kind of sold me on going, only because I know personally for me, I would not want to deal with, I've seen the horror stories of
you would hate
shuttles there. I would go crazy. I just know I would not enjoy that. So with a camping option, that would potentially bring me there.
Oh my God, we got to get you there. Yep. I think you would love it. Okay. Next up is a really cool one. So this is transformational events. And I wrote down a couple notes. I know Jess can speak to this a lot more, but I wrote that these are types of events that are aimed at bettering you as a human being. They focus on positive transformation, love, feeling unified, awakening your potential, growing as a person, celebrating life, building on your values. They typically involve things like wellness workshops, yoga, meditation, all of the above. And I also wrote they're way more of an immersive, interactive, thought-provoking experience, and they're meant to inspire you. And also I would say a lot of them are very big on sustainability, which I know you can speak to, and they're very eco-friendly. And a lot of them are more involved with like we're going to talk about it, like Envision and things like that. SXM. Would you say that? No, I wouldn't say that one, but they're pretty sustainable. That's why they came to mind. But that's my gist. What would you say about transformational events?
Yeah, I think with transformational events, typically they are formed and founded off of pillars. Most of these festivals, they have pillars or values that they live by. So with like Shambhala and Envision, they have things that mean a lot to them that they were founded off of, and that's what they try to teach their attendees. And usually the attendees that go are interested in topics like, what you said, like sustainability. And sustainability is not just like leaving no trace and cleaning up. It's like, how can we, even when we're not at this festival, be better for, where our earth, basically, like our home, and there's so much to learn. There's variety of topics. It's not just about sustainability and food and stuff like that. There's a lot of time like plant medicine and natural medicines that they talk about, and also digital creation. Actually, I know at Envision, I've seen some panels on creating videos online. And so there really is like a plethora of different topics. And depending on what you're interested in, you have these options to go and learn in order to make your life what you really want it to be. So it's really great because I think you end up leaving there feeling really fulfilled.
I'm enlightened a little bit.
Yeah. You just feel good. And because a lot of them have wellness involved as well. So, making your body feel good, whether that is even just stretching in the common area or actually attending a yoga, or maybe attending something that potentially like a talk that potentially maybe a harmful thing that you've gone through, maybe like a traumatic event you've gone through, and they have a speaker there talking about this type of abuse maybe that you went through. So there's like, it's, really can be healing to some people.
Music is like a part of it, but it's
correct
about way more than that.
Yeah.
Like music is one of the pillars, let's say, for example, of like
correct.
7 that an event might have. And you named a couple, like Envision, I put Shambhala, Lightning in a Bottle, Boom Festival. I also wrote down Sonic Bloom and Lucidity, which I'm not that familiar with, but when I was doing research, those came up.
Yeah.
I want to mention this and I want to make it clear. Burning Man is not a music festival, but I wanted to mention it here because I think it is a transformational event. Can you quickly, and we talked about this in our other episode, but for anybody listening who calls Burning Man a music festival, can you talk about what it actually is?
Yeah, so you know what? There are some people that consider it a festival. It has festival-like qualities. The reason why I personally do not consider it a festival is because the organization doesn't want it to be called a festival, just because that could be potentially dangerous, because people, when they hear the word festival, they, some people, I don't know, festivals can also bring a negative side sometimes when you hear that term. So I think that the organization, it just wants people to be mindful of that. Personally, it is basically, it's an experiment. Basically, it's a city in the desert. It is a full-blown city with functioning airport and postal service, and the burners that go there build it. So it's not like a festival where, for example, Insomniac is a really good example. They're going to provide the vendors, they're going to provide the food, they're going to provide the drink, they're going to provide the the lights, the stage production, the artists, all that. Burning Man is done by the attendees, by the community. So that's what makes it so different.
And it's a transformational experience in itself because of all of those things. And
and because there's panels and lots of things. Sorry, I have an itch for anyone watching on YouTube. But there's just so much more than even what you could imagine at a festival. Skate parks, bowling alleys, dodgeball.
The installations and art cars are like ridiculous. Yeah.
Art cars everywhere, climbable art that is very interactive. A lot of people don't realize that in order for some of the art to move there, you actually have to go up and touch it and make it spin and ride around on it. And a lot of people don't realize that. At least I didn't. When I was like a first-time burner, I would like drive by the art and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I never really fully participated, which is one of their principles. So
Yep.
yeah, they have 10 principles. So very similar to transformational festivals in the way that there's principles or pillars that they value, that they want the community to adhere to and kind of value themselves.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you for explaining that. I didn't want to confuse anybody. I just wanted to bring that up here just in case you're wondering, like, why didn't they say Burning Man in this list? Like, it's its own entity, I kind of think. So, but it is important to talk about because, again, like a lot of these values are similar for that, that city and that event.
Right.
I wrote down pros though for transformational. I wrote immaculate vibes. All I get from these events looking in from the outside are just immaculate vibes. I think it's really, really cool to see how involved people are. And I feel like just you have to kind of go into it open to the experience because you'll probably get out of it as much as you put in. So I really love that people look fulfilled, they look enlightened, they have all these different activities that they can participate in. And I think like, I don't know, I think like now I'm ready for it more than ever. And now I'm like, okay, I want to go there. I want to grow as a person. I want to hear the music. I want to meet so many different people. And so like who this is a good fit for, I think you'll just know when you're ready for that type of event, right?
Yeah. And I think that people that go to transformational events, it's like more than just themselves. They're looking to better everyone around them outside of that particular event as well. So that's why like sustainability, it keeps coming up, but that's such a huge thing, like, you know, on earth here. So I think that there's a lot of value in that because you can teach someone what you've learned, and it's more than just yourself and enjoying yourself to go see art and music. You know, you're really going to learn and then take that and bring it back outside of the event.
Yeah. The opportunity to learn and expand is definitely huge. And as far as sustainability too, like obviously it's one thing just to like have no plastic at the event, but the other thing, which I've looked at a lot of the festivals, it looks like the stages are like incorporated into nature. Like the stages are made out of sustainable materials or things found on the island or like wherever it is. So I think that aspect of it is really, really cool as well. And like we already mentioned this, leaving no trace behind you, but I think all of these events look amazing, and Vision to me is something I'm really excited to attend one year. Even Shambhala, all of these have heard amazing things about. And Boom, which is abroad for us, sounds really cool. And that only happens every other year, right?
2 years. Yeah. Yep. 2 years. I was just going to say, so, you know, that's something that's interesting with Boom Festival in Portugal. I wonder what they're going to do because I think in 2020, it was supposed to be the year. And then obviously they postponed it. So now it's this year. So I'm wondering if they would then now do every 2 years from now, or if they're going to, since next year would have been, maybe back to back it. I don't know. I was curious about that because that does only take place every 2 years, that one.
Right. And even in a smaller example, which some of you guys might know about, I know Insomniac with Electric Forest went down to one weekend versus doing the 2 weekends. And they said the same thing. They wanted to preserve the grounds that they're on because it does a lot of damage to them. Yeah.
It was too much. People don't realize that it's a small community where a lot of these festivals are. And it can be damaging because there are people that throw litter out on the road. Same thing with Burning Man, even like, you know, there's a lot of, that's in a very small area in Nevada, and people just dump their trash. And it's like, what are you doing? Like leave no trace means like everywhere, you know what I mean? And so it really can be damaging. But Electric Forest, they had to go back down to one weekend because people fly in, they leave their camp gear, you know, they leave. It's a lot of work, and I don't think they really truly could. It was too much for the staff that were working on site.
Yep. And one other thing I wanted to note too, depending on the event, like I think Lightning in a Bottle is 4 days. Like some of these can be a little longer. Envision is a 7-day event, isn't it?
Envision just started. It used to be 4 days, and then in 2020, it was their 10-year anniversary. So they expanded to 7 days. And so for 2022, they're doing 7 days again. But it's awesome. Not, music is not the full 7 days. So the first few days are more strictly focused on the wellness and like panels. Yeah. And then the music, I think, kind of comes in how they had it in previous years, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You'll see the music open up a lot more.
Really cool. Awesome. Okay. This next one kind of folds in. Like a couple of these can honestly be in different categories, of course, but I wrote the music and arts festivals. So these similarly have some similar values and qualities, but this one is like they celebrate art, music, performance, sustainability, life, wellness, etc. A lot of these have more art installations, art exhibits, interactive elements, and also a focus on wellness and performance as well. Some examples: Lightning in a Bottle, Elements Lakewood, Coachella, Bonnaroo Music and Arts Fest, Okeechobee Music and Arts Fest, Jazz Fest, Voodoo Fest. Yeah. And again, Burning Man has elements of the art installations and all of that really, really cool interactive stuff. Any other that come to mind for you from music and arts? I know
I would say Coachella was the one on my list just because like top of my head, because that is, I remember when I like was dreaming of going to Coachella, and I remember I used to watch Coachella all the time, and it's just mind blowing the art that they did there. But even EDC Las Vegas has now really stepped up their game with large scale art. I also think there's some festivals going on in Tulum. I think it's, what's it called? Art and I'm like drawing a blank, but there's like a lot of large scale interactive art that is being brought to festivals now. Even Electric Forest, tons of interactive art there as well. Art with Me. Yes. Thank you. Yep. I knew it was like Art Me, and I was like
screaming in there.
Yeah.
Google. Okay.
Yeah. So I think what's happening with festivals in general is people are realizing that these large scale art installations are, especially with social media and how much it's grown, this is bringing value to their guests, but also the guests are then taking photos in front of these large art installations and then posting saying, look at like how amazing it is. So it's marketing for the festival. So, I think large scale art has really exploded in the last like maybe 5 years or so. I would say like a lot more at festivals, because they're realizing the potential that it has as a photo op for their attendees and things like that.
Yep. Yeah. I was going to say Coachella, like leading the charge with that, of course, but I agree. I think it has become similarly to how like flow arts are a part of rave culture to me. Like I love looking forward to it. And there were some iconic staples that EDC Las Vegas is known for that people remember. So I agree with you, because there have been times even at like Electric Zoo and Governor's Ball, they don't do as much like that. Like they have very small, like EZoo has like the different animals throughout as like photo ops.
Right.
But they don't have like nearly as many like interactive things that you can do. And I do miss that sometimes. Again, it depends on the event. Those are city festivals, but I love them. I think the art installations are such a huge part of events now.
Yeah. And you see art galleries too, actual galleries now at certain events. And I think it's important because sometimes you need a little rest, and it's so fun to look at, and you might have like an experience with your friends, like looking at art or actually connecting, pressing buttons and making things move yourself. Yeah. Like it's really mind blowing. Like, whoa, did that just do that?
The Electric Forest videos are, like so cool. They go above and beyond, but I totally agree with you. Even Imagine Music Festival had, because I was going to say we did sit down on the grass sometimes, and they had a couple installations, and they had some artists that were like painting live, like different canvases and stuff like that. I know EZoo had some graffiti artists that were painting live. So like all those things add to the experience, and I think make these events really, really fucking interesting.
Yeah, of course. That's what makes a great festival. It's not just the lineup. It's not just the location. It really is a balance of having all these things, to really make an experience great. And that's kind of how I've been attending festivals for a long time. It's really about the experience for me now. Like the lineup is just an added bonus, in my opinion. Maybe when I was first getting into it, the lineup mattered. Of course it matters, because you want to enjoy yourself. You don't want to go somewhere where the lineup is like, you don't understand what this music is. So of course the lineup, it's important, but I started attending events even if I like really didn't know the lineup that much, just because I knew that the experience in itself would be amazing to travel there, to, see a new country or, see a new city and, connect with new people type of thing. So
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think and obviously we can only speak from our experiences, like obviously living in the States and things like that, but it's a totally different experience if you're living in Europe or in the UK or something like that. Like everybody's types of events are different, but there's so much, the appreciation for dance music is different in certain places as well. So I would even say like awakenings and things like that. Like I feel like it's just so heavily ingrained in their culture there. to a different level that I don't even think I fully understand. I want to, but it's just like, it's a different experience for everyone. And the point of all that was to say is like, I feel like the lineup to them is probably completely irrelevant. They probably don't even look at it because it's everyone's going to be there. So yeah, I mean, EDC Las Vegas is that way now too. I would obviously the first 2 or 3 years I went, you're looking for certain names, but now doesn't matter. You know, they're going to have amazing people no matter what. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I think I didn't have too much on music and arts. The next one I have is destination festivals. So, yeah,
my eyes just lit up for anyone that's not watching on YouTube.
If you want to go on a vacation and also hear some amazing music, if you want to go someplace tropical, near a beach, a destination, in the forest, whatever, jungle, beautiful views, somewhere more in nature, like this is going to be your cup of tea. Do you want to name some of your favorite destination festivals?
BPM. That's probably one of my favorite. BPM, SXM. I would consider Envision kind of a destination. I mean, it's more transformational, but it does take place on the beach and also in the jungle in Ubita. So, like you said before, some of these can fall into multiple categories of how we're divvying them up. But let's see, where else would be a great...
Your video had Sonus.
Oh, you know what?
Oasis.
Groove Cruise is my favorite festival. I would consider Groove Cruise a destination event because you're on a cruise ship and they take you to a different destination each time. At least Groove Cruise does. Every year, the attendees vote on where they would like to go and the dates and stuff like that. And then that's kind of how it's determined, is on attendee feedback. So yeah, for Groove Cruise, they've done everything from the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Jamaica, and then from the West Coast, they've done Cabo and like all over. You know, they really have gone all over. And so you're seeing a different island each time you're doing that.
So cool.
But
those are the big ones. SXM, like you said, is in St. Martin. BPM is a couple of different places, but you're talking about like Costa Rica and... It's in Tel Aviv, Spain. I actually have not attended the Costa Rica edition or Portugal or Tel Aviv. I attended when it was in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where it started. And then, unfortunately, there was like a tragic event that happened, their 10-year anniversary. There was actually a shooting inside one of the clubs. Ever since then, they migrated and they changed their locations. But I went to the one in Playa del Carmen. I loved it. You know, the thing about destination events like that, you know, same thing with SXM is you could get a villa, you can get an apartment, you know, it's kind of like a city fest where you're like staying in a hotel and always clean every night, but you're seeing like all these new venues, or there's beach parties, or there's boat parties, or there are jungle parties, or, you know, private kind of villa parties that are kind of, it feels like really exclusive, but also so beautiful. You know, a lot of them are on the water, or, you know, somewhere where the scenery is amazing.
Gorgeous. Yeah. That's what I wrote. Location, views on views, usually amazing weather. I even wrote, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong about this. I also wrote similar to like a transformational. I envision it being like a little bit more laid back of vibes, because I just feel like I would just feel like I'm on a vacation the whole time. So I just feel like the overall atmosphere would definitely be different.
It is so true. You are so correct with that. Like, especially SXM. I think that SXM actually is, for such a fairly newer festival, it is very global and it's very chill. You know, you're listening to these beats, but you could be like in a hammock, or you could be in the water, or you could, you know, it's just very like kind of
just enjoying yourself,
laid back in a way where you're not trying to go from like stage to stage. Like, you just pick the party you want to go to for the day. You're there, you know, it's very, you know, not having to worry so much about, you know, walking
raging for 7 hours straight.
Walking from your campsite or whatever, you know, it's, you know, you also get to enjoy extracurriculars like around the island or wherever, on the boat, if you're on Groove Cruise or Holy Ship, something like that, you know. You get to just like kind of do what you want. And it is definitely carefree. I definitely feel like it's a more relaxed, and I do think it's kind of an older crowd. I will say that. I think that for a lot of these events, it's people that really do, like you said, want to have that balance of being able to attend a festival and enjoy themselves, but also, you know, just kind of kick it in a way.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think, I mean, that's like part of the reason that I love doing this podcast too. It's because like, I didn't know, like when I started going to music festivals and stuff like that, like I had no fucking idea of like all of these events and things like that. And like who knows, maybe I couldn't have afforded certain traveling or whatever it may be. But like now at this point in my life, like these are so appealing to me and these sound so interesting. And it's like, I don't know why I've been sleeping on them so long, but if you're listening right now, maybe you're 18 or you're 20 and like this wasn't even on your radar or you didn't even have an idea about this, like you're focused on the events in the United States or some of the bigger city festivals. I mean, if you can fly some of these places for the same amount of money and get a group together or something like that, like probably not spend much more. I think it's totally worth it to expand your horizons and try something completely different than you've ever done before. There's no age limit on it, but
Yeah, of course not. I think
yeah.
for me, I started traveling and I stayed in hostels. So
Mm-hmm.
when I was younger, hostels are the best way, especially if you are solo
Mm-hmm.
and you get to meet people that way. So if the particular city has a hostel, and even you could stay in hostels in the United States. So I'm just saying,
Mm-hmm.
since we're American, I've
Yep.
stayed in a hostel for Ultra before. It's just on the cheaper side. It is
Mm-hmm.
kind of like shared living. So you might be living with strangers and you might not have control over your roommates, but they have different options. Like you could get a 4-person room or like a 12-person room. I try
Mm-hmm.
to kind of stay away from the 12-person because then it's just kind of like adding a
Really?
lot more
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
chaos. But you can even get private rooms in hostels now. And hostels have just like really expanded as far as having cleaner rooms and private rooms too. So
Mm-hmm.
it can be like cheaper than a hotel and it's definitely manageable. I have done tons of solo travel, even to some of these destination events. SXM, the first year that it happened in
Mm-hmm.
2016, I went by myself. I didn't stay in a hostel, but I did just get like a little 1-bedroom place that was, affordable.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to kind of budget out. I wouldn't rule out, not going to these things if you don't have a group to go with. I definitely
Yeah.
actually encourage you to solo travel. I'm very, very big on that.
Yeah,
I did a
yeah.
whole video on my YouTube channel about how raving and solo travel changed my life. So I
Yep.
think it's definitely manageable to go to a destination event on your own. Even things like Groove Cruise, they have where if you want to, book solo and then they will pair you with roommates.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely
Yep.
doable.
I agree with you. Yeah. And if you're from like, I mean, we're from New Jersey. I've looked into it, guys. If SXM has never been on your radar, it's usually in March. Like it's only like a 4.5 hour flight. So if you could fly to Miami, you could fly to SXM. And again, you can do Airbnbs or whatever. Like you can totally find something within your budget. So definitely check out all of these events that we listed today. I'll try and find a way to share this list. Again, all of these are in Jess's video too, if you want to just check it out so that she has them all there. But I think you kind of touched on them already. I had cruises in a separate category. No, but they are destinations. So the only 3 I wrote down are Holy Ship, Groove Cruise, and Friendship, because those are like the 3 that stand out in my mind.
Right.
But this is another category. So now we're talking about partying on a boat, which you've done. Groove Cruise, like you said, several times. Have you done Holy Ship or Friendship?
I have
Probably
not.
time, right?
I have friends that have done Friendship and Holy Ship, and
Mm-hmm.
I know Groove Cruisers that have done both too. I
Okay.
personally have not. I'm a pretty loyal Groove Cruise. It's not that I'd be opposed to Holy Ship, but it kind of comes down to knowing your style and what you'd be into. And for me personally, I just kind of like the style on Groove Cruise. It's a lot of house, tech house, and trance.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Whereas Holy Ship, I think, kind of dabbles. They of course also have house, and they have a great lineup all the time. But they also like kind of dabble in some of the bass music that personally I'm just not into. So if you're a bass head, like, yeah, I would think maybe Holy Ship might be a little better for you. I do think last year on Groove Cruise, they had a stage with more bass music, but you don't really see it that much. And I'm a house head. I
Mm-hmm.
love house. So it just makes more sense for me to stick with Groove Cruise.
Fair enough.
But
Yeah. I would say pros and cons for this. Like speaking just solely from my experience, Holy Ship was always on my radar. And to be honest with you, the only reason I didn't do it was because when I was in my early to mid 20s, I would just look at the price tag of that and I would be like, I can't swing a $1,400 room or whatever, because it's the price of a cruise. Like it's the same amount. And like, did the other festivals I add up to probably end up being that much? Yeah. But like, if you're somebody who that isn't in your budget, that was personally my decision, like why I never ended up doing that. However, just from hearing from people and their experiences and watching the vlogs and all of that, like also feel FOMO that I've never done them, because to me, the most attractive thing besides the lineups and all of the incredible music is just like getting to be with all of these people in this immersive experience for 4 to 5 days. The artists are on the cruise with you. You have a high chance of potentially running into them, and they take full advantage of the ship. So you have these really cool stages throughout, and the views look incredible on like the top deck. And I love, 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 you can speak more about this, the themes and how into it people get. They get all dressed up and it's a nonstop party. So those are all my pros for it. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, you basically nailed it. Basically, a lot of the artists, not some of the larger artists get flown in for like the island party or whatever, but for the most part, majority of the artists are on the boat with you, and you'll be in the buffet line next to one of them, or hop into an elevator and it's Marcus Schultz and like, stuff like that, sitting in the theater, dancing in the theater, look behind you and, Loco Dice, whatever. It's like kind of something like that where they're there and they're willing to talk to you. I just feel like it's very, like they're part of the family kind of thing. It's more than just a gig for them is how I personally feel. And the benefit too, and another pro of the festivals on cruise ships is another like kind of party when you want, sleep when you want, shower when you want, because your room is on the ship. So, if you want to do a costume change, if you're uncomfortable, if you have a wardrobe malfunction, if you need to take a power nap, if you are sweaty and you're like, I need to shower now, at most you have a 10-minute walk to your room type of thing. You know what I mean? It's very convenient.
Yeah. And I think like just speaking back on the cost of it too, like when you do break it down, it is like you're paying for accommodation, production, food, like it's basically an all-inclusive trip. So it does like end up, I think, being so worth it. So definitely just like weigh those options and see what's affordable for you. But I remember Vibe with Aid. If you guys want some good vlogs, Vibe with Aid had a vlog from her Holy Ship experience. And I remember she stayed up till like 8 a.m. She's like, I didn't sleep. I just stayed up the whole fucking time to watch the sunrise, which is awesome.
Yeah. I think that is a difference with, and I could be wrong, I guess Aid would know better, but with Holy Ship, I think they probably have like after hours in their rooms or something like that. But I know for a fact, Groove Cruise is always 24 hours. There's always music scheduled. There's awesome. Not 1 hour that does not have music. There's always music going on. So the after hours on Groove Cruise are my favorite. They're usually like on the top upper deck in the back of the boat, and you see the whole ocean, you see the sunrise. It's just so cool. Really beautiful vibes. It really is amazing.
And you guys listening to this now and this comes out, I know this is painful, but these events will be back, and I hope this is just good preparation. I think the biggest thing for Jess and I is like, in closing here is just the education aspect. And if anything, it's like, I wish I knew about so many more of these events 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So I could have like switched things up and done more. Obviously not having been able to travel this past year, there's still so much time. But yeah, I hope that you just learned something new, or maybe discovered some types of events you had no idea about. And now you guys can go do some research and add some different events to your itinerary, hopefully in 2022 or whenever these come back. But any other closing thoughts on all these different types of festivals?
I just think they all have something special about them. And I think it's great to experience all of them if you can, and I think that you just learn from all of them, and you kind of learn to budget and know which ones you want to go to and experience. And you could kind of, if you are on the younger side, I started younger and I didn't have a lot of camping gear. I didn't have a lot of things to bring with me. And you learn from your neighbors that have been doing it for, 10 years that the festival has been going on. And you just learn from different people that you will attend with, and you get used to it. And I do think it's manageable, even if some of them have a higher price tag. I think that there's tricks that you can take to still attend them.
Yep, I completely agree with you. And if you have any questions, obviously we're here to chat with you. Again, I'm going to link all of Jess's stuff so you can go watch her videos because they're super helpful. But where else, plug where everybody can connect with you again?
Oh yeah, sure. So it's Living by the F Word on social media, and livingbythefword.com is my blog, and it has all my socials on there as well. So yeah, awesome. Feel free to DM me. You could voice note me and I will get back to you if you have any questions. I'm very open to talking about all this. This is like my biggest passion is traveling to festivals. It's why I became a flight attendant, so I could go to more festivals.
Love it. Full circle.
Yep.
All right, Jess, hang tight. Everybody else, I'll be back with dance music news. Alrighty, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Thank you again to Jess for coming on and helping me out with this topic. I learned a lot from her and from her video, and I hope that you guys discovered something new. That is always my goal with all these episodes. I just hope that you learn something or you find it valuable or entertaining or all combination of the three of them. Again, if you guys are enjoying these, I would absolutely love it if you would make this your Instagram story today and tag at raveculturecast. That helps get the word out about this podcast, and that's what drives this thing. We keep going because you guys keep listening. So thank you so much for your love and support there. All right, I'm gonna get into some industry news. We have a couple things I wanna go over today. Where do I wanna start? I'll start with some music news. So Rez tweeted, "I have so much new music that it's actually overwhelming building a future tour set. By the way, this new tour production will be actual sorcery. And my album is done." She just dropped that little note for us on Twitter. So guys, she's building a tour production that is actual sorcery, and her album is done. We've got new music coming from Rez. I'm super excited for it. Okay, we also have new music coming, a collaboration between Dylan Francis and Illenium. Does that not just sound like a beautiful gift to all of us? I can't wait for that. So he basically tweeted a text message with Nick Illenium that it's time to finish our collab for Life is Beautiful, which is really, really exciting. So I can't wait to hear what they've been working on and when that comes out. All right, a couple announcements. So Excision shared this post on his Instagram page. It's an update on some of his music festivals, so I'm gonna read that now. It says, "Headbangers, while the world begins to reopen and vaccine distribution in the US ramps up at an encouraging rate, we, along with the rest of the music industry, are making plans to bring in-person live music events back to reality. Even though we are still unable to host and play shows like we used to, it's slowly becoming safer as the weeks go by. We don't know when live shows will be back in full force. Maybe it will be earlier than predicted, or maybe it will be later. But no matter what, we have to be ready. Large-scale festivals take many months to plan properly, so we have to accept that if we want live events to be waiting for us at the end of this pandemic, then we need to start making plans for them far in advance. I'm extremely hopeful that it'll be safe for events like Lost Lands, Bass Canyon, and others to happen this year. But rest assured, if any date approaches and the conditions are still unsafe at the time, then we will cancel them or I will not perform at others. Your safety is my #1 priority. With all of that in mind, we will be launching ticket sales for Lost Lands next Thursday, March 18th, and in the following weeks, we'll be making Bass Canyon 2021 tickets available, as well as approving Excision to be announced on various other festival lineups. Very exciting. We'll also be discussing new event safety regulations to implement when shows are back. Every promoter is going to approach this differently, and for Lost Lands and Bass Canyon, it's too early to say. No matter what, we will follow the guidance of our medical advisors in addition to city and state official guidelines, and we will keep you posted. While we don't know how long we have to wait, we are confident that we will eventually be back in full force. I hope you can bring us in this optimism with patience and understanding, as my team and I are working tirelessly to bring bass music back into your lives as soon as it is safe, which is awesome. So you guys, tickets are going on sale, which is promising, but again, nobody knows. Nobody has a map or a guideline of how this is gonna go. So I think that was a really great note. They're monitoring the situation. They're waiting to see how many people get vaccinated, but I think it sounds like plans are in place just in case they can successfully have their events. So I'm sure a lot of you who planned on attending Lost Lands and Bass Canyon are excited to hear that news. Okay, in other festival news, Electric Zoo moved forward, and this is a big deal, you guys, because if you have been following, New York has obviously been pretty strict throughout this pandemic with, events. It's been on lockdown since the beginning. Electric Zoo at this moment in time is planning to move forward. I do not know at full capacity. I don't know what the safety regulations are. All I know is that they announced at this point that I'm recording their Friday lineup for Friday, September 3rd. Clearly there's gonna be an Ophelia Records takeover because you've got Seven Lions, you've got Midas on here. Who else is on Ophelia? Crystal Skies, Alesso, Ali and Fila, Cosmic Gate, Akali, Fatum, I never know. Loud Luxury, Mime, More Kismet, Nina Las Vegas, Peekaboo, Shipwreck, Sippy, Subtronics, Valentino Khan, and Zed's Dead, all on Friday alone. And it says stage hosts Brownies and Lemonade and Dead Beats, which is really cool. So I will keep you posted on Electric Zoo news. On the other side, Electric Zoo obviously works with Made Event, or Made Event produces Electric Zoo. So they made an announcement as well. I live in New Jersey, so this is a big deal for me. Made Event puts on like all of our events locally. So any of you guys living in the tri-state area, they made an announcement saying, we want to start off by saying we've missed you. It's been a year since live events were paused, and we've been working tirelessly and endlessly to find ways to bring live music back to New York. But we know that can only happen if we all work together to keep each other safe and healthy. With the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine underway and rates declining all over the US, we are hopeful that live events can come back by the end of summer, and that fall and winter season will be in full swing. We can only hope and pray to God that that is the case. We hope you understand that these live events can only happen if we start planning now, so that we can curate the best experience just for you, especially since we need to make up for lost time. With that being said, we are working hard behind the scenes to prepare for Electric Zoo 2021 and beyond, and we're excited for everything we have planned for you. Same thing, guys, just we all need to work together, and they're gonna keep us informed on all of those events. So, very long-winded way of saying, guys, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We all need to work together. You need to follow city and state guidelines, and I know everybody's level of comfort is different, everybody's situation is different, you know, their health, all of that, but it is really, really exciting to hear plans in place, and it's really promising, and we are almost out of the other side, and I'm really excited for live events and anybody who works in the industry and people who have been out of the job. And as a fan, I could not wait more to return to the dance floor and music festivals and to meet you guys in person and all of those things. So it's really, really exciting, at least to maybe have a timeline in mind of when we'll be back. So I will keep you all in the loop. More updates to come. It's all very exciting, but yeah, those are all my industry news updates for right now. And that is all we have for this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this topic. Please give me some feedback. I want to hear from you at raveculturecast. DM me at Emma Capotis. My DMs are always open. Let me know what topics you want to cover, guests you want me to have on. You know, the Facebook group is always open for communication and conversation. So please, you know, join there. I want to meet you guys and chat with you in there. And I hope you're enjoying all these topics and guests and all that fun stuff. So I'm really excited for the coming episodes. A lot of exciting stuff going on. Like I said, merch is in the works. A new merch line is in the works. So I'm really excited to share that with you very, very soon. All right, with all that being said, thank you guys so much for listening, and I will be back next Wednesday with a new episode. Bye, guys.